This is RPD Officer Leon Kennedy, and you're listening to the Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Let's Talk Resident Evil podcast. What's going on, John?
Oh, you know, Anthony, we just got done watching Infinite Darkness.
Infinite Darkness. You guys have been waiting.
Yes.
And we're here with a full show review. It's only 4 episodes, so...
About 27 minutes apiece.
Yeah.
Give or take credits, 25 minutes apiece.
Yeah, so that's, you know, again, we've been waiting for this, so we're really excited to talk about this. But before we get into everything, we want to let you guys know that if you are liking the content, you got to hit the like button right now. Hit it right before all this continues, right? And we also have, a Patreon down below if you guys want to support us. We do polls, we do early access, uncut stuff. Join the Patreon. It really helps us out. And we got merch as well. And, of course, this podcast is always on Spotify, iTunes, Libsyn. So if you want to download it and you don't want to watch this video version of me and John sitting here looking like assholes, you can just download it. And you could do that as well. So I just wanted to plug all that stuff before we get into it. Infinite Darkness. This was originally announced as a movie.
Yes.
And then it was kind of taken down, and then they
I believe the
called
words
it a
they
series.
used was film.
Yeah.
And
like
then they
CGI
used
film.
anime series.
Right. So considering it's 4 episodes, that's the one thing that's been getting people kind of like, what? And so I mean, if they were just getting 4 episodes for now, I think that me and John are going with the idea that this might have been a movie and they ended up just cutting it up.
Which there's evidence that, like, it very well could be, because if you have seen it and you do take out the intro, the first intro, even if you left that in, you took out the other intros and all of the credits except for the last one, and you put this all together, it would flow exactly like a movie.
Yeah.
It did not feel like a show where there was there were kind of elements of like a rising action, a climbing action, a climax and a resolution. Words. But it didn't really feel like it. It felt more like an overarching kind of like the real climax was at the end of the 3rd episode and the falling actions were everything in the 4th episode.
Yeah.
Whereas usually on a show, like especially like an anime show, you usually have something like those steps throughout every single individual episode with an overarching story. This felt very much more written like a movie.
Right.
Interestingly enough, though, I do think it still works as kind of like a drama show.
I guess where these characters are at this point, we know this takes place in 2006.
Yes.
So it takes place between Resident Evil 4 and 5, and President Graham is still president. He's in the White House, and Leon is still working under Graham. And then Claire is working in, what's it called?
TerraSave,
but also like what's the made up?
Penamstan.
Penamstan.
I think it's Penamstan. I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Yeah.
So she's working here to try to build.
It's like a fictional
schools.
continent on the southwestern border of, like, it says China.
Yeah.
It's like a fictional Middle East country. And there was this like war that took place in 2000, a civil war.
Right.
They didn't go with Desert Storm. So it was
civil war. It was a civil war in the desert.
It was a civil war in there. So it was kind of like this argument, I guess, within, obviously civil wars have, where one faction was trying to rebel against, I guess, the more democratic faction. They do drop hints in the movie that it was kind of like a fight for democracy instead of like whatever they had, whether that be tyranny or whatever, or the other kind of versions are a monarchy, whatever they had. Probably more like a communist kind of ideal.
Right.
So they were fighting for like a democracy in this Middle Eastern kind of area. The realistic graphics look amazing in this movie.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the biggest takeaway right away, even when they uploaded the intro.
I said movie.
Oh, right.
In the series.
Yeah, the animation is good. I kind of, the only thing that was kind of a little disappointing for me was that it was, not in 4K. It was 1080p.
That was a little interesting of a decision. I wonder if 4K will come around.
I hope so. Of course, I'm sure they'll release it on physical media, and we got the other...
Yeah.
Well, we only got Vendetta. Vendetta's the only CG movie that's on the 4K format.
True.
So it's interesting. I hope that this will bring them out to bring the other ones out, but that's beside the point. The animation is, in our opinion, looks stellar from the beginning.
It looks really good. It looks as good as Vendetta did.
Yeah. Yeah,
I would say.
it's just as consistent, and the outside and the architecture shots sometimes look real, and it's like it's
maybe
pretty
a little
amazing.
less fidelity wise than Vendetta with mouth movements and stuff, but for the most part, it was really solid. Characters looked pretty good. Obviously, we'll get into more of like what we feel about Claire.
Yeah,
That as we both have some things to say about Leon and Claire.
absolutely.
I think.
Yeah.
Those are obviously the spearheads of this episode, of these 4 episodes.
And the first episode really just kind of sets you up with their place in this world as of now, right? Because this is post degeneration.
Yeah.
So
this is the last time they saw each other was during the G virus
all at the airport
issue at the airport and that facility with Will Pharma, dealing with the G virus and that crazy thing, which I still think that movie's the best one.
Definitely.
We both agree with that.
For sure.
However, what was interesting was they were going with this plot back in 2000, so 2 years after Raccoon City, approximately. There was a civil war. And during that civil war, basically this military guy, using our knowledge of the 4 episodes, named Wilson, he was the general at the time. He later on became the Secretary of Defense to President Graham.
He had the shades on, which is never a good sign.
Never a good sign.
Anyone that has shades on inside,
you know, he had like the shade glasses. He was all diabolical.
All right.
He basically deployed a top secret squad to bio-attack, essentially, this place, and then eliminate them with some type of sterilization bomb. And the Mad Dog's captain, whose name was Jason, was the guy who decided to go down on the helicopter. So the helicopter lands, and he's like, no, we're disobeying orders. We're going in and we're saving that rescuer, or that survivor, not rescuer. We're going to become the rescuers. So they go in and they save this survivor who ends up being an important character later on.
Yeah.
So Jun C was the character who is her brother, and he was actually the survivor the Mad Dogs landed and kind of pulled away with. He didn't have any arms. He didn't have any legs. But they were trying to protect him, and kind of going in. This is a full disclosure, full 4-episode viewing kind of plot synopsis.
Right. So obviously,
going
forward,
you won't know all of this until
we're gonna
you watch the whole thing.
We're going to talk about it kind of in sequence here, but also again, most people watch all of this at once. I would imagine.
I would imagine nobody would watch one episode.
It's very digestible, so it's not like you're not like, ugh, I got like. It's really. Like, it's going to be over before you know it.
It's very fast.
So, yeah.
It's very fast.
So the pacing's really good.
So her brother gets saved by Jason, and essentially what happens is they get attacked. And after they get attacked, only a few of them survive because her brother tells Jason, hey, you've been infected, with his like seemingly dying breath. You've been infected. You need to take this to not turn, or you're going to turn like they do.
Right.
Then we jump forward to a scene where there's a body bag. This is kind of a timeline telling, right? You jump forward to a scene where, you know, obviously Agent Wilson or Commander Wilson or whatever they call him, in that was like, hey, sterilize them. And the whole plot of the whole series, the whole season 1 plot, is that this Wilson guy they're trying, Shen Mei, which is the brother of the brother, or the sister of the brother, and Jason, who survived this incident that was covered up.
Team up together.
They're trying to team up together to expose Wilson, the Secretary of Defense, because we find out that her brother is being kept alive in Shanghai by her grandfather, who is desperately trying to protect him.
And he's pretty much a walking, living piece of evidence.
Literally a walking piece of evidence.
They were meant to sterilize it like Raccoon, to where there was no evidence because, again, going into the conspiracy, because they're making it out to be a conspiracy because they want to leave no traces of the truth. And he is the embodiment of the truth.
Yeah.
So
not a walking truth, because he can't walk.
Not a walking truth. No.
But he looks grotesque. He's
looks
like all crystallized and like
it's pretty disturbing.
Yeah, there's tubes of blood running through him.
Right.
But then there's also tubes of what looks to almost be like mold.
Right.
Like it like comes out and then like it goes in.
Yeah,
it's
like
very really
very
weird.
fucked up, and like it was very dark, so that was interesting. They went in that route to be, you know, and again, it's like. They really try to set up these characters, and like now that I've had a little bit of time to think about it, I did think that they did try to develop them in a way where they were new characters, and it does seem like they were at least trying to develop them.
They tried, yeah, and I think they succeeded in a lot of ways.
Sure.
I think we'll obviously get into some of the things we think about in the individual characters. Yeah. Just to continue the plot summary, just so we can kind of get like an idea of what happened. essentially 3 agents are picked to go out. One of them is Shen Mei. This is in the future, so this is 2006 after Resident Evil 4. Secretary of Defense wants to send these people to go investigate a biochemical lab, a bioweapon facility in China that may or may not be there after a hack that was conducted on the U.S. government. Now, I don't know about you, but I feel like there was no hack. I think it was all set up just for Wilson to get to war with China because of some weird shit.
Right.
I don't really know what he was hoping to accomplish by going to war with China. But there, like you said, he would pop up and just talk about China all the time.
Yeah, literally, he would just come in and just be like,
Mr. President,
he's
it was
like,
China.
we got to try to turn this against, turn this against it. And again, it has those overtones of like, there's stuff happening politically and there's,
which is very American.
It is, right. And this is stuff that people that are complaining about it, I think it's completely stupid because this is Resident Evil. It deals with bioterrorism. It deals with America.
And this literally... Dude, it literally sheds light on some of the biggest mysteries or some of the biggest, I wish we could see that moments in Resident Evil history.
Right.
Resident Evil 6 opens up, and you learn that Raccoon City was finally made public. Like, where I'm going to come clean. Actually, he didn't get to because he died.
Exactly, yeah.
But he was like, I'm going to come clean with it. And Leon was like, what? Like, Mr. President. Like, it's like, no, I think it's like Leon says to Claire in RE2 Remake, let the people know.
Yes.
Right? Let the people know.
Yeah.
Which I'm going to get back to because I want to talk about that.
Yeah.
Because of the ending.
Yes.
But he's like, let the people know. And it's just fascinating to me how well they introduce Leon. Because, like, every time we get one of these movies or one of these things, they always land our characters perfectly. Like, as far as introduction goes. Now, Vendetta was a little weird because Leon was drinking and stuff, but he was on vacation. And the man's going to sober up when he's not on vacation. But when he's on vacation, he's going to be drinking, right?
I thought it was appropriate with he's been up
For
with.
sure. But a lot of people thought it was a little weird. And
Sure.
same thing with Chris in 5. He was in the bar. Or 6, yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
He was in 6. He was drinking. So, but I thought it was really realistic for them to be like that. And in the opening scene with Leon, obviously there's this team. Oh, fast forward, obviously. They're getting a team together to investigate, like I said. Jason, captain of the Mad Dogs, Shen Mei, a rookie, who I can't even remember his name, but doesn't matter because he's unimportant. He's not important at all. They all come together, and then they're waiting on the 4th person. And here he comes. Leon is in his own helicopter. He's getting flown in. They're like, man, I've never had somebody let me give me the clearance to land this fast before. You must be pretty special. Doesn't say a word.
No, just looks out the window.
This is after RE4. Doesn't say a word.
After Degeneration, too.
After Degeneration. Why? Because, ladies and gentlemen, Leon is going through character development. And he's turning into basically the Batman of the Resident Evil franchise.
This is the big, we said this immediately after the first episode when we watched it. Like, it's the bridge between this and 6.
Exactly.
Because he looks identical
to 6.
And you can tell it's like when he started to get a little bit more like, obviously he's already experienced, but he's, seen some shit up into this point.
He's becoming numb. He's becoming numb to the ongoing the ongoing merciless war against bioterrorism that he never seems to get ahead of.
Infinite
darkness, which is the whole premise of the series, which we talked about back when it first got announced.
We did.
I mentioned that, I think that was going to be the theme, and you were like, that actually makes a lot of sense. That's probably what it's going to be.
Because it just seems never ending, him looking out of the way, like that was, and also he doesn't care about the camaraderie.
No,
like, people give, and he's just like, I do this because I want to, and it's my job, and I don't care about the accolades. Like, I don't care about you flying me. Like, I like that he said nothing because it's like that's a Leon moment,
Dude, other than
Something
his voice, which we have to talk about, I do think Nick Apostolidis is a great Leon in RE2 Remake. I do think he's a great actor. I really love the energy. I've gotten to talk with him multiple times. I think he's a great guy. He does not fit this Leon. This Leon, I don't care what anybody says. His voice seems weird coming out of this Leon. Would you agree?
I would agree.
It's just a little weird
because of how many times we've got, especially even in Vendetta.
Yeah,
man. Like it just
in
seems
Vendetta,
like
it's different.
It's
now that's a nitpick. Obviously, I still think he did a great job.
Right,
and
Leon
I will
as
also
a character
say,
is still good in this. Don't get
this
us
Leon.
Wrong. Don't get it twisted. Boys.
No, this Leon in this right here is the most badass he's ever been depicted. And I'm going to give you explanations as to why as we go. But not saying anything and just being about the job was perfect. Now, what are we granted with? We're granted with a person talking bad about Leon, the rookie, the young agent, to Jason and to Shen Mei. He's like, Leon, like, what is he like? He's just lucky, right?
Yeah, he must get lucky.
He's just lucky, right? And they pay this off great, which obviously Leon doesn't hear that, but like they do pay it off great in the end. And he's just like, he's just lucky. You're the real hero. And Jason's like, I'm not a hero. Like they call me the hero, but blah, 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 blah. He's basically going through some guilt because obviously, like we talked about, he's the hero of Panamstown.
He's PTSD'd out. The first thing I noticed in the first episode, I was like, he looks like sick. He looks
sick.
He's got bags under his eyes. You can tell there's something like off. And obviously he's going through shit, but you can tell there's some kind of abuse going on, which, as we know, is due to the infection he was exposed to.
The infection that he had to keep taking things for. And I'm going to mark out while we talk about this because Leon, my boy.
Is the time to do it.
Bro, my boy was on point this movie, this series. So great. The Leon fans out there, shout out to you guys. This put him in a power scale on a whole different level.
Yeah.
But he's so good. Leon is so seasoned at this point. And, you know, there's a scene where he, like, opens up and he talks about it. But then with Jason later on. But before that, the White House's power goes out.
Yep.
And there's a bio attack.
Zombies in the White House.
I think the motive behind that was that Wilson was trying to kill Graham so he could assume the role of president and make his agenda quicker. Now, that's never been confirmed. Nobody knows if that's the case.
Right, because initially, if the president dies, the vice president would
take over, which we don't know who that was.
They didn't really talk about that. Right.
They didn't show the vice president, which was weird.
They didn't.
But
you spent a lot of time in the White House in this show, and this is the one time it was depicted like I honestly thought that was going to be longer. Them getting under attack.
Yeah.
It seemed like it was going to be like a night's worth, but it was more just like, all right, we cleaned up next day.
Well, it was also interesting. Like
good way to start the first episode.
Yeah,
though,
some gripes I would say were like some of the camera work where they put the cameras and stuff during
janky.
certain scenes were a little janky. I think the White House, the president's office shot where you could see everybody and they were just all talking amongst each other felt like really weird. They should have did some L cuts to like different people's faces and stuff. I think that would have been probably like, I don't know, the better move. But I gotta say, like, Leon shows up and saves that rookie. And the rookie gets attacked by a zombie. It's the first zombie we see. And it's a great scene. He just turns. He's kind of trying to get the EKG or whatever he was trying to
do.
He
just unloads in him and he falls to the ground.
He falls to the ground and he's just like, oh my God, he's attacking. And then he breaks his arm.
Yeah.
He unloads into him after he breaks his arm, falls to the ground, kicks him onto a chandelier.
Which is crazy. He did a super kick from fucking Tekken.
Yeah, Tekken. Yeah, he kicks him onto a chandelier. And what I thought was great was Leon just shoots him, kills him. But you notice the entire time they converge and Leon's taking orders from Jason because he's the head of it. But Graham wanted Leon on the team. We're not going to go over every single detail. But essentially, we're going to go over the main points.
Exactly.
The most important thing is the entire time they're there, Leon doesn't argue. He doesn't say anything. He just does business. And he goes out there and he just starts whacking people, bro. He starts
they got
whacking
SMGs,
people.
They're ready. Like
it was
they
great.
got M16s, they're throwing down. And
it was great.
It was awesome, man. I love that. I think that was my favorite part of the first episode was that little attack on the White House with the zombies. I thought that was cool because I thought that Graham was just going to die. Yeah. I was like, oh man, something's going to happen. Like this is how they're going to set it off. But no, they obviously were still showcasing, okay, then that's when the guy came in and said China did this, they hacked this. Yeah. You know, so that happened during. That happened during, right?
No, that was the second episode.
That was the second episode, right.
Yeah, or the third, I forget. But because it's all so fast. So that's why I said instead of separating it, we're just going to talk about it in the order that comes to our brain because like if we try to separate it, it's like you can't really talk about one without the other. Like, we do get to see Ashley's picture, which was awesome.
Yeah, because he has that moment where he's thinking of if he should, point the finger at China.
He's thinking about his family.
He thinks about his family, and his family, the last danger they were in was over Spain and with Sadler and all that stuff. And he looks, there's, a great picture of Ashley on there. She looks all updated, and the Doge, and he's reminded that, like, this decision can really be, detrimental to what I do, obviously, because, the president's actions, it matters. And it's really crazy. And again, it creates, because we haven't seen Graham in this light, the one thing me and you wanted to see, and just more, in the first episode, was more, and like, you kind of see the more human side of him. Mm-hmm. He's just not the president that you just hear of. You just see his daughter. Now we're getting kind of like a look into his process. The only thing that I would say is I just kind of wish, Leon and Graham kind of had more of conversation.
Yeah. Now I have a counterpoint for this, and I saved it for this because I think it's very interesting, and it's not a counterpoint to you. It's not like I disagree. I'm just saying I agree that they should have had more talking point. However, I think it says a lot that despite not having any words between each other, almost none, after a certain part later on, it's just like, got it.
Yeah.
Which I'll spoil it right away. But basically, obviously Wilson's a bad guy. We already covered that he's the one who released the stuff.
Right.
I thought it made sense. It shows how strong of an influence Leon has on the president, that they don't have to say anything to each other. Leon just says something to somebody to tell him. Dude, I'm going to mark out, bro. It's so good. There's only one scene better than this in the whole movie, and you know which one it is. Quick draw Leon. That's what it is. That's like crazy. Dude, Leon's Chad energy in this movie was great. Bro, when he sat down... Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, I was going to say.
But, so we'll back it up. Well, I'll get to that part in a little bit. As you guys can tell, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was phenomenal. I thought it was great. I'm really hoping it's not one and done like we talked about. And we'll talk a little bit about what we would like to see in the future of like season 2 and stuff. But essentially they're sent out on this mission afterwards. They survive the White House. And the rookie is sent to say bye, obviously like the president's side during this thing. And the other 3 are sent off into a submarine to go investigate this facility. Now, as always, there's a conversation, a kind of plot development where Jason and Leon have like a heart-to-heart about
he also
terror.
Passes him on the ship. Well, the first episode, towards the end, he went. I guess it's after that conversation, I think. Where he sees him injecting the antivirus.
I think it's after. No. Yeah.
He passes him in the bathroom, and he's injecting his arm with just like, and Leon's just like, all right.
Oh, no, it's after that. I don't remember. Whatever order it was. Right. He was injecting himself, and Leon sees it, and he's like, okay. And this is building Leon's resume.
Right, because then he talks to him, and then they have that conversation about fear.
Yes,
that's Jason's big thing is Jason's going on like fear. He controls people.
And we got to talk about Leon's Raccoon City conversation.
Right, because that happened within that.
Yes, it was a little interesting. How did you feel about him talking about things that we've never seen in the games? Like, I can kind of forgive it because I understand what he was going for. Like, I understand what they were trying to tell.
Give the gist of it.
Yeah.
Of like,
but what do you think about that? Because, like, he really didn't see anybody die. He didn't really see, like, people screaming in the streets and...
Right, and then he talks about, Raccoon City when it got destroyed. He's like, and there were still people alive. There wasn't supposed to be anybody alive because the people that were alive were the people that we saw. We saw Carlos and Jill escape. We saw Claire and Leon and Sherry escape, and everyone else was dead. And Ada, of course, yeah. Well, I think she's dead, but she's
survives. Well, no, because it's past RE4, so he knows.
Exactly. Yeah, right. So he knows. So
yeah, and we know that Jim and Mark and Cindy and all of them from Outbreak,
right?
If they're
because
canon.
This is still in our original canon timeline. That's supposed to be. So him saying that, it's like a little like you scratch your head.
Although I guess
I understand why they did it, though.
I guess if all of them do escape right before the missile hits in Outbreak 2, then I guess very well there was a lot of survivors in Raccoon City still surviving.
Right.
And we just don't see it in the game doesn't mean it's not there. So I think after a little bit of thought, I would give it a pass, and I think it was effective.
No, I thought it was effective. I like the fact that we had him, kind of... He doesn't mention Spain, which is a little odd.
Was a little weird, yeah.
I guess, him being a rookie and him going there late and not being able to save people, I guess that was the initiative of, like...
I mean, they do mention Spain in the office before Leon gets there. he goes, "Oh, the one who saved the president's daughter." Like they do mention it.
Yeah.
But Leon doesn't
himself.
say. He just talks about Raccoon City.
Yeah.
Like almost like he holds that in a higher category of survival than 4.
And that's what I was about to say is that like I think I like that conversation point between him and Jason, and I think it kind of brings out kind of how they feel about their past and what they do to overcome those situations that they've been thrown at. Leon being, having some kind of...
And Jason can't believe it when he tells him. He's like, you were in Raccoon City?
Yeah, like you survived. Like how the hell did
what?
They sterilized that place? And he's like, and there were still people alive, and I have that resting on my...
And for the
survivor's
first time,
guilt. It's like survivor's guilt. It's like
for sure.
everyone else died, and I'm fucking sitting here talking to you, and like,
that's
I don't
why
even know
I
how
do
I'm
what
alive.
I do.
Right.
That's why he does what he does. That's why Chris does what Chris does.
Right. They don't ask questions. They just help and protect.
Survivor's guilt.
Right. And it's just like you have all that guilt, and you're just sitting there like, and I'm still getting the runaround from people that, think that they're better than me and stuff like that. And again, Leon's not the type of person to be like, oh, wow, I did this, and I have this on my resume, and I was in Spain in Raccoon City. He's humble. He stays to their ground. And
all of the Raccoon City 4 are like that.
Right.
None of them are
They always written them like that.
Yes.
And I like this conversation between... And, I didn't mind Jason's character.
Oh, I think that humanized Jason a lot.
I think they did. I did kind of think about it in the last couple hours, and I was like, you know what? Like, he probably was one of my favorite of the two. I liked him a little bit better than Shen Mei. But, again, I kind of thought that they portrayed him as, like, when you see him in 2000... And he's over there in that Civil War again, right from the start. You're like, okay, I'm with this guy, and it's someone that's new. So yeah, I like that conversation. I didn't mind the Raccoon City reference, and if anything, it just kind of shows you where Leon's headspace is at post RE2 and RE4.
Also, for those of you
and Degeneration,
for those of you who are wondering, we did not forget about Claire. We're going to talk about her separately. We're just going to follow Leon's story until the lab, basically. Because they really don't interact too much. A couple times, but we'll just talk about it when we talk about Claire.
Yeah.
Because Claire's kind of more of the instigator of them coming together.
Yeah, Claire is not at the forefront at all. She's very behind the scenes in this. She's actually way more held in the background in this than all of the CGI movies we've gotten up to this point. So for some Claire fans or Cleon fans, you might find it a little bit disappointing.
There's only like one scene.
And
and they take it away immediately.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, because the first time we see her, when Leon was still in the White House, is she shows him the picture of the Civil War with the bodies hanging, because that's what they did. They hung their bodies, and they all came back to life and killed the people because they thought, oh, well, these soldiers are dead. We're hanging them. They're not going to come back to life. Even the fucking torso comes back. And she shows him the picture, and she's just like, it's just like Raccoon, and he's just, and the trailer edited it in a way where he was very dismissive. That's not how he was. He was just like, oh, well, I just want you to really like take care of yourself, because he still looks out for her like that.
He says, don't do anything stupid.
Don't do anything stupid, because again, she's behind the scenes. She's doing investigation work. She's kind of like, she's still doing something. So I didn't want to make it seem like she's not doing anything, but she's doing less than she doesn't do a lot of action in this.
Also,
doesn't even have a gun.
She doesn't. She hit somebody with a lamp.
A lamp. That's it. And then she got tased in the fucking neck.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, so basically, what I thought was really weird about this, one of the things I thought was kind of strange was in the, like the website, on the website when they were talking about it, it's like Leon recognizes something about this painting, but doesn't say something right away. Like, and
what
a lot
the
of
fuck
that
was that about?
And none of that ever happens because Leon didn't figure anything out until they got to Shanghai.
Right.
Because
he wasn't like, oh wow, it's just like shit.
Because he's just looking at it and he's just like, huh.
It's like that Civil War.
And he kind of looks at it and he's like, interesting.
Well, like it looks like Raccoon. Like he's like, okay, there's zombies.
And he's kind of thinking to himself at that point, like, I know I'm with the hero of Panam Stan, whatever. I'm gonna try to think about this for a second. But he doesn't really hang up on it. It's not like a mystery. It's not like a mystery like the website made it out to be, or leakers or whatever.
Yeah.
So he just moves on, and Claire is basically shocked to see him because she's there trying to get an interview with somebody who's apparently gone. Mm-hmm. And she's kind of shocked to see him, which was interesting. And then we fast forward to the submarine, basically. Because Claire basically, what happens, that's why I said we should talk about it separately. because like bouncing back and forth doesn't really do it justice. So after that, Claire goes back to her hotel where she does a whole bunch of research on the Penobscot incident and President Wilson and the Mad Dogs, who are all committing suicide.
That was her link.
That was her link, and that's why she goes to this abandoned house to look for the one person who's left, and it turns out he also committed suicide, so she calls the cops. After that press, she goes back to the White House, is refused access to talk to Wilson, but Wilson overhears her. She goes back to her motel where she goes to do research.
They know that she knows.
The power goes out, and she knows that there's somebody out there immediately, which is great thinking.
It is.
Because she knows, hey, they're after me because I know something. So she hits a guy with a lamp and then gets tased in the neck, falls unconscious. We'll catch up with her after we get to the lab, because that's where she wakes up, is the lab.
That is where she wakes up, yeah.
So then that's all Claire does this whole movie.
In the 4 episodes, that's all she does.
Yeah, she doesn't really do a whole lot. Yeah, she finds like the samples on the ground, but she doesn't put anything together. She just finds out essentially Wilson's behind it, and when she finds out Wilson's behind it, she's immediately captured.
And she's trying to really expose
Exactly.
that,
She's also trying to expose it.
That's
she's
the big
trying to
theme
fight
here.
Yeah, because she's trying to be a civil worker. She wants to expose the truth. For all intents and purposes, she's the foil character to Leon and Chris.
Yeah.
Which Chris isn't in this, I know. But Chris and Leon want to protect the truth, protect the innocent, and protect peace. Claire, which we'll get into a discussion at the end,
We will.
kind of has the opposite approach where she wants to expose everything. That's why she chose the role of not a fighter. But Leon chose the role as a fighter. So he wants to protect it in his own way. And we'll get to that later on when they have a confrontation. And for the first time really ever in the series, we see one of the Raccoon City
That was one of my favorite
survivors.
scenes of the whole show.
Yeah, they have some tension.
Yeah.
And I think it tells loads about their character development. And I think it's a perfect character mix. But
They're on the submarine.
Leon gets to the submarine. You know, what did you think about the submarine section as far as the bioweapons?
The rats were interesting.
I thought they were really cool.
They were cool. They were forming inside the bodies of the dead bodies. That's how they were, reincarnated, and they burst through the belly and stuff like that. So it was really cool. I thought it was, funny that Leon had to pull off some kind of, ridiculousness with the whole.
He said, "Axe
to the
Axe
fucking
in the
wires,
electric,
jump up,
jump
and then
up,
they all
and
get,
they just get electrocuted."
yeah,
bro.
it's like,
I was like,
that's
what?
a great Leon moment. And it, the body count was obviously high.
Leon killed thousands, probably.
and also the reason why those bodies were there to begin with was because
Yes.
we get a scene where Jason and Shen Mei are just knifing the shit out of them.
They're just killing
literally
people.
just kill them.
They're just killing people.
And so at this point we were like, well, they definitely have to be
bad guys. But they're not.
But that's the thing is like
Yeah.
it makes you think that,
Yeah.
and then it's like, okay, what's going on here?
So that, okay, I got to nerd out for a minute. So Leon gets to the thing. Obviously, we're not giving a frame by frame. Obviously, he goes like, "Are you wearing a pressurized thing? Don't grab your gun." But Leon's like, "I was grabbing my knife."
He's
dude.
like, I'm going for
fuck
the
you."
knife, dickhead. I know.
Literally, watch the series. You have to. If you guys want this to be another, have another season,
You gotta
go
watch it, yeah.
It's great. Fast forward. Basically, the self-destruct sequence triggers, which I thought was funny.
Yeah.
Leon gets
By
out.
the time the rats are happening, he has like 2 minutes to get out. 3
But then
minutes.
Leon doesn't get killed by them because
opens up the fucking.
he opens the thing.
Yeah.
And she's just pointing
They're
at
like,
him.
I'm
and
not
he's like,
expecting to be alive.
and Leon goes, "You want to get that thing out of my face?" He pulls a
And
game.
he already knows
already
because he saw
knows.
the knife.
He
He
saw the
knows
knife.
they killed him.
Well, this is the best thing. He
Slit
saw
their
the
fucking throat and everything.
Yeah, so he was like, "What happened?" He didn't see the dead bodies when he got up there.
No, he saw it before.
No. He saw the dead bodies. He didn't know it was them. But this is how big brain Leon is. They get to Shanghai after he saw the knife in the throat. I
Right. He
think.
noticed it was his knife.
Yeah,
he
he
did.
noticed it was his knife. He climbs up to the thing. He's looking around, and they don't kill him because they're like, "We want to convert him to our side because we want to show him the truth because he's skilled." And he gets there, and they're like, "All right, like, cut the door. This is the place." And Leon is like looking around. He's like, he notices the blood on the knife. Mm-hmm. He puts 2 and 2
It's
together.
like an apartment or a hotel or something like that. Or
yeah, wherever it is.
yeah, it's like somewhere.
Somewhere in Shanghai. And he puts 2 and 2 together. Bro, let me tell you something. let me tell you something. When he sits down, oh, dude, it's like big dick Leon, bro. When he sits down and Jason's looking at him and he knows Shen Mei's over there and he has the balls to be like, so are you going to tell me what's really what you're really after?
Because you killed,
Because you just killed those people back there? Yeah. Bro, and he's just like, what? He goes, what? Dude, the tension when he's reaching for the cigarette, bro, and Leon's eyes, they're just like watching him.
It's a great
And Leon's
scene.
like just watching his hand and watching the cigarette and watching him. He's like, test me, bull. I'll kill you.
He's like, it's over.
He's like, go ahead and go for that gun. I got you before you even flinch.
Yeah.
I got you.
He's ready.
And I'm hoping it's going to happen. And then he tries to convince Leon, right? He just grabs a cigarette.
And he talks about the fear again.
He talks about the fear. He talks about how there's a thing going on.
Pretty much just justifying the actions. Like, and
Leon's
this is what
like,
we're trying to expose.
exactly.
And Shen Mei's just sitting there with the bag of groceries like, I'm not going to act like I'm here because we're about to attack this motherfucker.
Yeah, we're about to attack him. And she's like listening in because he's like, oh, and Leon's like, so wait, let me get this straight. You want me to help you? And he's like, yeah.
Nope.
And he just goes, nope. Bro, dude, when he
it's
goes,
so
nope,
good. It's like,
and when he goes, you're really not gonna help, but or he says like, it's a cool story. I swear, I thought he was gonna say, cool story, bro.
Yeah, that would have been a Chad
he said,
move right there.
It's a cool story. He said you could tell them it in your court martial, or whatever he said, bro. I was like,
he's like, I'll write it up in my report.
Yeah, he's like, no, I'll write it up in my report, and he has
he doesn't care.
Fear.
No care at all.
And that's what makes Jason falter. I think that's a character moment. He knows Shen Mei is there. People who don't think he knows. Because as soon as he knows.
He knows.
He knows Jason's in front of him. And my boy Leon knows one thing. There are 4 guns on the table, and I'm going to get to one before you do.
Yep.
So go ahead, and bro...
grabs that shit, gets up, does a Max Payne bullet dive, and shoots his ass in the heart.
Dead.
He's dead.
Silent.
He's
dead.
Just dead.
If he was a regular guy, dead.
If he was a regular guy, he would be dead.
Bro, he said he reached for
the
gun.
And then shoots behind him.
Yes.
He does the dive, and then she's like trying, and he's just like,
don't even get me into the White House scene.
Oh, yeah.
Bro, and he's like, bah, 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 and then he goes, bah!
Yeah,
and he just reaches behind him, doesn't even look.
So good.
That's a little asinine. But when he's in that room, bro, and he goes for the gun, this whole series is worth watching for this one moment.
That was a great scene,
He goes for the gun, and Leon is like, bah! It just like immediately kills him, bro. And he goes,
I've never seen Leon do a bullet time dive ever.
Now he pressed the X button.
Yeah, he
pressed
did.
The X button,
he
bro.
really did.
He shot, immediately rolls over onto the floor. Shen Mei starts shooting at him.
Behind
and
the couch
like,
and shit.
bah,
He's
bah,
like,
bah.
and then she runs off. Yep.
Bro, and then he goes to the base. I love the scene where she's like talking, and he's just standing there like fucking.
He has the guy's
Michael
arm,
Myers.
and he walks in.
No, not even that. He's just standing there like this.
Oh yeah, before.
Yeah,
he's just like.
And you're just thinking to yourself, that guard's gonna get it.
Yep.
And then they're in there. I'm getting hot, bro. I love this fucking show. They're in there. Leon walks in, and Leon's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna fuck. Come here." And then they're talking.
And he's like, "You're gonna tell me what's going on right now."
And the door just comes busting open, and Leon just got
has
this
the gun
poor
and everything.
fucking dude. He's like, "Start talking," and then he learns the truth, and he learns that Shen Mei was wronged by Wilson. And Leon does the Leon thing, and he goes, "Son of a bitch!
Yep,
I'm gonna get that motherfucker." So he immediately becomes friends
because he sees the body of the brother.
The right thing. He sees the body of the brother,
half fucking infected.
Yeah, with the mold and all that.
Yeah, that was a great. I think I had a hard time sympathizing with them at first because I just thought they weren't written as strong.
Yeah,
but
because you don't have any history with them.
Yeah, so it was a little hard for me to kind of get convinced for feeling for these characters and these plot lines, but I guess kind of with some thought, I did like that they kind of made it to where okay, they really are in this just to expose the same kind of shit that us as players would want people to know when we're experiencing Raccoon City, and yeah, they're just trying to know get down to the bottom of what's happening because they literally keep making sure that everyone is fed the wrong thing. And the fact that it's even considered a conspiracy is crazy because it literally happened.
Yeah.
It literally happened and it's true, but it shows you how people bundle stuff up into conspiracies when it's not
covered
really
up.
that far from. Yeah, it's like the evidence is the biggest thing if like they have to figure it out, but Leon wants to do it in a safe way because he knows how much can be at risk. While this is happening, the president is literally being convinced to go against China and go against the other side because that's what's being kind of pummeled around. Again, the whole fear being controlled, that's a pretty big theme throughout Infinite Darkness. And the Infinite Darkness as well, I think, is also in referencing of how, people can be as like humans, they can really be dark, and there's the infinite darkness of power and trying to one up everyone and, whose dick's bigger, that kind of thing of like,
and not all villains are self-made.
Right. And there's there's always darkness around. So I think it kind of plays well into that. And by this, it's like, by this time you're like, okay, now we see why, these characters were just trying to do the right thing, even though they've had to take some casualties with them. Because that's the case with every RE. There's always going to be people dying, and not everyone's going to be coming out unscathed. But yeah, this is when the show, in my opinion, it went higher on the level of action in the next couple of episodes. Because,
well, then the whole fucking building gets rocked.
Yes. And
everything's collapsing, and Sakaguchi-san, the grandfather, jumps on his grandson, which is it's sad,
right? Because
he's trying to protect him. You laughed, I laughed, we laughed, but it was kind of, we laughed in a good way because it wasn't like it was ridiculous. It was like they were really going to do this to my man. Like he dove on his dead son. Let's be for all
at that
intents
point,
and purposes.
Yeah, exactly.
And just let the building collapse on him. And Shenmei was like, "No, Grandpa," and she's like rips him out.
Yeah,
or maybe it was her father. I don't really remember what
they
she called
really.
I'm pretty sure he said. Yeah, she said grandfather.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
I'm pretty sure it was the grandfather.
Yeah, the grandfather.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, you got that,
in the rubble
sentimental scene, and then the rubble.
Yeah, and then Leon goes, "No, this is what he wants. This is not," because she explains this is a chip that has all the data before the building collapses.
And that's the biggest piece of evidence they still have from the Civil War.
And Leon's like, okay, and she gives it to Leon, which I thought was interesting. She gives it to Leon because she's like, "I want you to help me," because Leon's like, "Okay, I want to help you," because
at that point he's on the side. Yeah,
he wants to do things the right way. He's like, "Yeah, let me help you." So he takes it, and then after he saves her, she's like, "No, Jason wants this. He wants to be good guy. He wants to expose everything and do the right thing." And he's like, "No, Jason doesn't give a crap about that. He doesn't give a shit about that. He just wants to know the world to know true terror." And he's like looking around. He's like, "Look around you." And she looks around, which I thought was anime as effect.
Yeah.
But like she looks around.
You see all the destruction and just
and it was so interesting because like, dude, after the rubble and that scene, he goes to the lab. They go to the lab because this is where Claire's going to wake up.
Right. And this is a lab in China.
In the lab in China.
Shanghai,
but before we get to that, he calls the rookie. And the rookie's like, "What? What do you want me? Leon, wait. Like, what are you? Okay. Is he going to believe me?"
He's looking all sweaty and scared.
He's like, "Is he going to believe me?" He's like, "He will believe you. Just tell him.
Tell him that I said this."
And so I'm waiting for it.
And he's and now the president's getting drove in with the
cavalry,
cavalry, and he has this whole thing written on the paper. Obviously, he has a whole speech ready. He's about to fucking turn his he's literally walking up there on the stage, convinced. The flags in the background,
the flags in the background,
the cameras are rolling.
Guys there.
It's like
everything's ready.
Army men, patrol, everyone's there.
And the guy pulls it, just grabs. He goes, "Mr. President, everything, blah blah blah, Panam Stan, everything that happened, it was all from Wilson." And he goes, "Who told you this?" And he goes, "Leon." And you just see his face go, shit.
Like, this is
like
real.
Immediately, as soon as he says Leon,
he
says
believes it. It's that's it,
bro.
That's
as soon as he says Leon, the president's face is just like, "Fuck this. This is done."
Right, and you believe it because Leon went the distance, not only to
for
always
his
protect
daughter,
him, but for his daughter.
For
and
his
like,
daughter.
I like that moment in his eyes where you're like,
it was
great.
You could say it. I popped off.
Oh yeah,
I was like, "Let's go!"
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, this is awesome."
This is waiting.
Yeah, dude.
I said I was waiting for him to say something, and the president to just be like,
and we had a feeling too,
"That's
like
my
he's
boy."
not gonna say
no,
because even if that didn't happen, I had a feeling. I was like, all right, if nothing interrupts him between him walking out, he might just like get up there and just like not say it anyway. But that was like That was like this solidified it for him, where he was like, Leon knows this shit, and like he's not fucking around. Like that information,
Leon wouldn't lie to him.
He knew that if he called him immediately, he knew that call would be the word of like.
Leon almost became like the permanent for all of our Naruto fans out there. Like he almost became like the permanent Anbu Black Ops for the presidents, because of all the work he did for Graham.
And still doing.
And still, well, for still doing in this movie, in this thing. And all the work we know he was doing for Adam Benford, the next president, in 6. It's like he is just a revolving...
It's dedication.
He's the DSO agent. He's a revolving president's...
Dedicated to the work.
For lack of a better word, right hand.
Right, just dedicated to the work and protecting...
the most important person in the United States of America.
Yeah, and that comes with a lot of weight.
It does.
And that has, and again, it takes a tough motherfucker like Leon to, recognize that this is what he's built to do. And like, again, I love that scene because it's a big turning point of like...
It really puts it,
this is it, you know?
Not that I'm trying to put it into like scale, because all of our Resident Evil Raccoon City survivors have their own special things that make them unique and make them great characters. But like a lot of people compare like Jill to Claire and Chris to Leon, but it really puts it into perspective how different of characters they actually are when you get to the point in 6 where Leon and Chris are face to face, and Chris is like, I lost all my men because of this person. And Leon's like, I lost millions of people because of this person. It puts you in perspective of how they both take their job seriously, but how much of a badass and influence on the RE world that Leon actually has. And he's not cocky about it. And neither is Chris. Chris and him are both very level-headed warriors at heart, and they would go the distance for each other. I 100% agree. But I'm just saying, like, it just shows you that they really nailed Leon in the series. I think he's great. I think he's the perfect blend of 4 and 6.
I would agree, man.
I think he's the bridge we were
missing. He's my favorite thing in this series because they did the most with him.
Except for that back shot. That was a little over the top.
Back shot,
that was funny, dude. He said,
that was like an RE6 quick shot. You know how you do that? But that was like a behind the back fucking quick shot. Yeah, it was. That
was a John Wick move.
It really was.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I agree, man. I think the Leon side of things in this overall with the 4 episodes that they've given us, was the best part. I do wish that I could say the same for Claire in regards to them. They let Leon do his own thing, which is fine. But one of the things that we were looking forward to was seeing them together. And now it's just kind of like they're both in it, but they're like, it jumps back and forth. You get Claire for a little bit, then you go back to Leon in the action, then you get Claire investigating. So it's like, that was, that's a little like nitpick. It's not anything that was crazy. I just wish we kind of saw more of that and Leon with the president. But I like that whole... less is more. Like the less you say, you could still kind of communicate that
that's what
mutual
I'm saying.
Respect without having to be like, Mr. President, what do you think about this, and this?
Like
and
him
like
calling him on the stand.
Right. It's
like
more
him be
just,
like,
or the intercom thing from
he's
fucking,
like, what the heck?
Like the Metal Gear Solid
he's
fucking
like, excuse me.
Radio.
Hello? It was all Wilson. Thank you, Leon.
Thank you. Where's Hunnigan, by the way?
Just rips out the document.
But it's just like, I like that, and it does feel... It still feels like Leon, and, Claire still feels like Claire.
She does.
She's just not in it enough, in my opinion,
she's not
with
in
these
it
4 episodes. But again, this is season 1.
It was really a focus on Jason.
That was the big thing.
And Leon was there as the main protagonist.
Yes, and, obviously at this point... leading into at this part of when they're in the lab, it's like apparent that Jason comes back. Because
because also Wilson kidnapped Claire.
Wilson tasers her in the neck, like we said. She tries to hit him.
Well,
with
not
the lamp.
Wilson.
She fails.
One of his men.
One of his men.
Yeah.
And then Wilson ties him up. Ties her up with the
slaps her with the clipboard.
Slaps her with the clipboard, or the fucking envelope or whatever.
Envelope.
And
he basically says, "Hey, we can make people, traditional governmental threats.
Yeah.
We can just make you disappear. You're just a little bit of
Right. And if you listen to me, I can get you built. You want to build
like, listen,
schools and hospitals.
I'll give you
I can
anything
do
you
that.
want.
Yeah.
Just drop your investigation.
Right. Get off our case, and we'll.
And she headbutts him in the chin. He's like,
and she's like, no fuck. She's like,
fuck you.
Fuck you. No fucking way. She gets a little sassy, which is cool to see Claire in that mindset because she's still.
That's kind of how she's always been.
That's how she's always been. She's still younger. She's still in her 20s at this point. So
yeah, she's been portrayed like that more in the remake in Code Veronica than she was in the original two.
Yes,
but she definitely has that sass to her that she even has in like Revelations.
Right, and at this point, Leon
and Shen Mei
arrive. They're at the lab,
and she sees Leon, and she goes, "Leon," and he doesn't hear her.
Right, and she's not like saying anything or screaming, which is kind of like odd.
Because Jason fucking grabs Wilson and like beats his ass and then bites him.
And Jason's just back like nothing happened.
Yeah.
And then when he sees Wilson, he's so pissed that while he's smashing his face up against his glass, he fucking turns into a tyrant and bites the shit out of his neck.
We don't ever see tyrants bite, which is really weird. But he bits him to infect him.
That's
because he doesn't want to kill Wilson.
Yes, he wants to fucking.
He wants to ruin his life.
Put him in that position. And
he's like,
I love that because I was thinking, I'm like, he can easily, because the way that this lab is set up, which is kind of very RE5 with the pods.
It's very RE5.
You have all the pods with the experiments, but the way that it works is as soon as the self-destruct system hits, because you got to have it in Resident Evil, they did. Another to check off our list, but they did that. But they have this acid that starts filling up that destroys that evidence, which is cool.
Would make sense. It would make sense. It's not actually said, and there's no logo seen, but it would make sense if the lab was Tricell.
Right.
Because we do see it later.
We do see it later.
And it would make sense that Wilson would be a part of that.
And in the canon timeline story, Tricell was around at this time.
Yep.
So, and we even saw it in Degeneration.
Yes.
We see it at the end. So, post Degeneration, this actually fits in really well. And that was one of the things.
Is just
right.
Half of Umbrella.
I was gonna say
it's just half of Umbrella.
And one of the things that we talked about was know like how well will this fit in with the other animation series or films, and it does really well. I mean, like they really didn't.
It fits into Resident Evil well.
It fits into our lore and our characters really well, and it didn't really feel like an outcast.
No,
and that was our big fear. We're like, we don't want this to kind of be like the black sheep of the family, like the one that's kind of like standoffish. Like maybe this animated series will be vastly different, but no, it was like more like, oh well, this fits in well, and our characters still feel like our characters, and the new characters aren't that bad.
No.
And so, man, like by up until this point, I was really enjoying
which we won't spoil the end
stuff.
The end of the fight. We want you to go watch it. We're not going to tell you how it ends or anything. We're just going to obviously Leon wins.
Yeah, I would assume that if people are watching it this far, they've seen it.
Yeah,
but
we won't spoil the fight. We won't spoil the most badass moment. We will talk about Claire and Leon.
Yeah. Because
I think that's important at the end.
I mean, I guess, so basically, once all that's kind of finished up, I did kind of wish that the final fight was, like...
a little longer.
Longer and...
more... I think you
Claire
said more... Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, Claire and Leon just working together to get that kind of, like,
which we didn't
put away.
Really get.
We didn't really get, so that was a little gripe that I had.
Claire, didn't really help. She released the lock on the one thing.
Right.
And which also what is...
Go ahead.
You go ahead, because I think we're going to say the same thing.
Okay, no.
Wait, are you going to say something about things falling?
Well, yeah, so she hits the lever, and it falls, right?
Yeah.
And it goes into the acid, but then Leon jumps and holds on to the fucking...
Yeah.
To the
pole, the rope.
wire, or whatever the fuck it is. But it's like, where did she go? Like, she
was knocked out in the...
She got knocked out, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Well, I was going to say, what is with Leon and falling platforms?
Well,
like,
that
in
too.
Degeneration, they're falling, and then in this, they're all falling. It's like, what is
he falls in 6 several
all
times.
The labs
like,
fall?
Yeah, like, when you're in that fucking... The circle fucking thing in 6, it's like shit's falling.
Everything's
it's like
falling.
I like the Tricell vibe of the
too.
factory. Very, very RE5 vibes. For
this
sure.
ties it together amazingly.
Yeah, I like that whole sequence. And then of course the big thing is Leon getting out of there, and we also don't see him like leave with Claire. It just kind of cuts.
Yeah,
and we know that Leon has that chip. He still has the evidence.
Oh yeah,
but
the last scene.
This brings up to the last scene.
Claire walks up, or Leon walks up to her.
Also, let's not forget the little scene where he's at that little landing strip, and he sees the president.
We also shouldn't gloss over the fact that Shen Mei gets clapped.
Oh, right. We did gloss over that.
She gets clapped,
but
in a brutal way.
I thought, to be honest with you,
that was kind of fucked up.
She gets fucking clapped by the tyrant. No real big surprise.
Jason.
But I felt that... Yeah, by Jason. I just felt that, like...
He killed her for no reason.
Killed her for no reason. They were working together up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously, again, he talks about fear again and stuff as he's the tyrant. That's the other thing that we didn't talk about.
Yeah. Oh, what, the tyrant talking?
Little goofy.
Glenn Arias does that.
But it was goofy when he did it, too.
Yeah, it is.
So...
It's a little goofy.
Like, I thought that was, like, a little, like... I know it was done before, but this is, like, he looked like a fucking... fucked up Hulk. Like, I don't know. He just looked like...
Okay, so this is what I'll say.
I don't know.
This is the only thing I'll say. And I'm not saying you're wrong for having that opinion. But if you think that's goofy, every talking enemy after post Resident Evil 4 is also goofy. Irvine's goofy. Simmons is goofy.
Oh, yeah.
They're all... not Usanek, but they're all goofy.
Granted, they're not great.
They're not great,
Irving's
but they're
not
goofy.
great.
No. But I'm just saying...
I don't know. I just thought that it was, like, a little weird. Because what he was saying when he was the tyrant, I was like...
Yeah, and you really couldn't understand him too well. He was very, like, mumbly.
Yeah.
Because he was, like, really deep-voiced. I'll say this. I prefer when my tyrants don't talk, with the exception of Nemesis, who only says one word.
Because we already know Jason's... Like, we already know. We know the fear. We know this. We know that. Like, we know that. Like, why do you got to keep, like, talk... Like,
I think
let him transform, and that's it.
It's really hard for me. Because, like, I also think it's effective that he's still talking to Leon.
Well, it shows you that he's conscious
but it
of
also
what he's
shows
doing.
You he's still scared. Like, his face looks scared. Like, when he's like, I'm going to go up there. My Batman voice is coming out of that.
I mean, that's literally how he sounds.
And I'm gonna show the world fear.
Right. It still shows him that he's like in control of that. Yeah.
Okay.
And then Leon, tries to grab a rocket launcher, and the whole platform thing happens.
Dude, I thought that was genius. Leon didn't shoot him. He shot the fucking platform.
That's something he would do.
Because he thought, hey, if I drop him into the acid, this will be over.
That's such a Leon thing to do, and he did the right thing for what he had. But yeah, I mean, again, ending sequence probably one of the
little goofy,
one of the weaker moments in my opinion. But
the fight
needed
to have more gunplay and more action. Like, he needed to throw things and punch, and Leon needed to do kind of like his slides.
They didn't give him a lot to work with in that scene, and
but,
they could have. But I don't know.
I kind of felt like, and maybe the chat, like the in the comment section, they'll kind of agree with me. I kind of felt like he wasn't really a villain.
I feel,
and they kind of made it seem like Leon was
like a vigilante. Like,
Leon was kind of like, hey, I can't. My favorite line from Resident Evil 2. He's like, I'm gonna go up there, and Leon's like, you can't do that.
You can't do that.
He's like, you can't do that. Right. Like, I can't let you go up there.
Also, the big thing too.
And he's like, no, I'm gonna go up there, and he's just like, but you can't do that.
Yeah, and also
don't make me kill you.
The thing is too is that, like, the way Leon usually sees the situation for anybody is that if you're killing innocent people, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
But like you said, it kind of goes to the point where they write it in a way where they don't try to make him the full on villain. And now at first, again, you see that he's like, he looks sick, he's injecting something, and he's gonna just turn tyrant.
Well, you even said it when we were watching it. They got you with it. They purposely make it seem like they're villains. And then they got me too. Like, we all thought they were villains. But then what did I say as soon as it happened? I said, well, what if they killed them? Because they didn't want... I started thinking, hey, maybe they were told if something happened, kill all the witnesses.
Right.
Because they're still holding... They want to keep it all secret.
And the submarine kills
and then
were just...
Yes.
Yeah.
And then you go, oh, well, yeah, that kind of does make sense, but I don't know. I think they're just going to be evil. Well, that didn't turn out to be that's why they killed them. They were kind of vigilantes. Because they were on their own mission to expose the truth.
Yeah, they were willing to put everything on the line to be like, hey, if I die doing this, people need to know.
Yes.
And that's why
people know. And just like Leon said to Claire.
Yes.
Which we'll get to.
Absolutely.
Right? But the thing I thought was interesting was that after that, Leon switches because he realizes that they're not villains because they're villains. They're villains because
they were victims of bioterrorism.
They're victims of bioterrorism, and he relates to them. That's why he wants to do everything he can to protect their ideals.
And that conversation with Jason, I think that's when he realized, hey, we actually kind of can relate, even though I'm not in this position.
And Shenmei with her brother.
Shenmei with the brother. So it's like he had those two conversation points were so crucial to him understanding what's going on, why they were doing what they were doing.
And he has the evidence, and he sees it all in his hands, and he sees everything.
It's there.
He knows what's actually happening.
Sees the brother in the bed.
He sees everything. But despite understanding, despite not wanting to go against them, despite wanting to help them and save them from themselves,
he knows what he has to do.
There's a line. I want to go up there. You can't do that. Bah, 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 bah! He starts shooting at him because he knows in order to prevent what you guys are trying to cause to not happen, I can't let you go up there.
You're literally a bioweapon.
You're a bioweapon. You will turn the world to disarray.
Exactly. If one thing gets out, it's it.
If you go up there,
I'm coming up there.
I'm coming up there. Like you're not going up there. So he distracts him, and you can tell that Jason doesn't hate Leon.
No, because he's not immediately attacking him.
He doesn't attack him, really. And then when he does attack him, he doesn't kill him.
He fucking killed Shenmei before he killed him, which is crazy.
He killed Shenmei, which is fucking nuts. I still think that was a mistake. But, like, he shouldn't have killed her.
Would that be your one, like...
Because
I thought that they would have at least carried her character over to, like...
They could have...
a few scenes. But again...
He should have been more aggressive. He should have been like a raccoon backed into a corner. Right. Pun intended, raccoon.
Yeah.
He should have been not engaging them, and then when he had no choice to get out there but to kill them, he then should have killed her.
I guess, Shenmei could have went a different way, but I guess the way that they were seeing when they were writing it was, well, her grandfather passed away, the brother died in the road, so like there's nothing else
left
for her besides the truth getting out. Like that was the last.
And Leon can't let that happen either.
Exactly, which we're gonna
get to because that's a huge thing at the end, and I actually am really happy with the ending of this.
Favorite scene
despite
of the whole show.
A Cleon fan, I'm a massive Cleon fan. I think this is perfect for both characters.
And also, we have that nice little moment where the president's leaving that ceremony, and he looks out.
Badass moment
where he just looks out, sees Leon,
nods,
gives him the nod of like, "I got you." And
Leon nods.
Said. That's it. Yes.
Leon nods. He's like,
"Yeah."
He's like, "I got you, Mr. President," and he's just like, and no words. And there's a power in no words.
Right.
And
less
I
is
really
more sometimes.
do think it worked.
Yeah, it's
I
better
think
than...
Bro, I'm gonna just say it. This was the best animated / movie from Resident Evil since Degeneration. Like, this was the best animated story.
That's not bad.
And live action story since Degeneration.
I really wouldn't put that past what I have to say either. I would say that that's kind of right where I'm sitting right now. Yeah. Now, again...
We both think Degeneration's better.
But also, it is season 1. It's 4 episodes. So where could they take this potentially? We'll talk about that after we talk about this next scene, which is the ending scene, where it cuts to Leon and Claire. This is the final interaction of this season.
Can I say my favorite line again?
Yeah, go ahead.
Claire goes, "Leon, I need that chip." And Leon says, "I can't do that.
I can't do that."
And she's in disbelief.
And she's like, "What, you're going to do this your own way, and I'll do stuff my way? Is that how it's going to be?" And he's like, "Yep."
Anybody who's ever played Final Fantasy 14, he hits him with the
nod. The
stoic nod.
Because, he still looks out for her.
Yeah, because she says, also, "Why do you still treat me like a little kid?"
We didn't talk about that moment where...
where she falls on
top of Leon.
I heard you go, "Oh, there you go."
I was like, all right.
Yeah, all right.
I was like, finally, the tension's here.
Yeah, the tension's there. Her fucking crotch is in his crotch, and you said something like, "Grind, baby, grind." You're like, just start grinding on him. There's only acid underneath.
Yeah, I was like, come on. I was like, this is the moment fans have been waiting for now. But that's the kind of shit you got to say. But
we were popping off the whole time, guys.
It was a fun, energetic show. Now again,
I wish there was more.
And that's where
before you do that,
with this conversation,
I was gonna say your thoughts on the conversation.
I was gonna say I really liked the fact that no matter what Leon's gonna do is right, even if it concerns people of his past. He knows that getting that out there, her exposing that evidence to the people, is just gonna cause chaos, and again, it stays true to the characters. And I believe this push and pull conflict, when I see it, I don't look at it and be like, oh, but that's not what Claire would do, and that's not what. No,
well, it
makes sense,
yes,
man. I liked it. Probably my favorite scene, just because it kind of expanded on, like, you know, just our old characters. Just in general, it just felt natural, right? It didn't feel forced.
No, it feels like a great ending. And I said this during the show, and I'll say it again. This would have been a great video game.
Oh, yeah.
If they would have cut it together as a video game.
Yeah, just a spin-off.
Revelations 3 maybe. This would have been amazing, because that end scene where they're sitting there, she has the sling.
Yeah, she does. Jacket, she does have a broken arm.
Because she has a broken arm from getting thrown. Leon's got the thing, or his
which I like too,
outfit.
by the way, because, like, how many times have we seen heroes get thrown around? There's like zero damage.
Literally almost never.
Yeah. So Leon, obviously,
Leon is the only one I can
think of. He's the only one
because he gets shot and then gets bandaged
right.
up.
I just kind of like that.
I don't think anybody else ever really gets nobody else really ever sees, like, battle damage for the most part.
And it's like an action
Leon
movie
also
thing.
Leon gets cut on the cheek.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's the only one that ever really shows battle damage.
Yeah.
Oh, well, Claire does get infected in Rev 2.
She does.
Yeah,
she does,
so that's true. And she never gets cured, which is, like, interesting. But anyway, yeah, I really like this scene. I really like it. I think it works because
I love the evening-ish kind of tones that they have outside. Like
it's somber.
It's
very
somber.
like the end of something, right?
It's a warm, very warm kind of vibe.
And Leon's like, you know, there's so many. A picture says 1,000 words. And basically, for those of you who don't really understand the scene, I'll kind of break it down for you. Claire is saying that I need to let the people know, because Leon in RE2 Remake, which obviously was taken into consideration when they wrote this, says to her in a file, if you play that version of the game, like, let the people know. I don't really think that's canon. I think that's spare. I think the originals are canon, but that's a whole different discussion.
Let's not give them that much credit.
Let's not give them that much credit. But, you know, it's a maturity on both characters' end. Claire will do everything she can to expose the truth because she really wants the world to know the horror of Raccoon City. Leon wants the world to be safe from the horror of Raccoon City. One wants them to know, the other wants them to not know, so they don't ever have to experience what he has to experience. And he knows that his man and his whole establishment and everything the people know will come crumbling down if that gets out.
And when you come to a crossroad like that,
and he says no.
Yeah, he says no, and
yeah.
When you get to a crossroad and it's like everything that you've seen throughout just the 4 episodes shows you how important it is to do both sides, to know the truth, understand what it is, but to protect it for X, Y, and Z, and then to try to, like, get, you know, you have those two kind of polar opposites working against each other, and then it leads it to this conversation, which is beautiful, right?
And Claire, even though she disagrees, and she says to Leon, you know, that outfit doesn't look good on you, for the second time.
And I feel like when she says that,
it's not about the suit.
It's about how he's changed.
It's his demeanor.
I think it's about how he's also just changed as a person, where that suit, there's
suit,
a certain
as in
style doesn't fit you anymore.
Yes, it's stigma.
It's
the stigma of being a Secret Service agent,
because that progression from a rookie cop to Raccoon, like, he's a completely different person from everything he's experienced in his personal life and the tragic events. And
she says that to him to cut. She's saying that to him like a friend.
Yes.
She's like that suit doesn't fucking fit you.
Yeah. Like,
it doesn't look good on you. And she says it with attitude.
Yeah. And that's literally how we're left.
And he just looks at the chip and she walks away, but she'll never go against him. Because they're at the end of the day,
they were
they're
together.
Raccoon City survivors.
Yep,
they both owe each other their lives.
They all experienced something for the first time
together,
and it was something that changed their lives and changed history in this world that we know of bioterrorism and Resident Evil. And
in the canon,
it's just so good
timeline, which I thought was genius, they never see each other again.
Unless
she's not in Damnation.
Unless there's more episodes to this.
Well, yeah. But she's not in Damnation. I'm talking about our current timeline.
Right.
There's no Leon Claire post Resident Evil this.
You're right.
So after
in
this,
2006 in the timeline,
after
they go their separate
2006,
ways.
there is no instance where you see them on the screen ever again.
Nope. She doesn't
So,
even mention him
no.
in Revelations 2.
No, you see Leon and Sherry together
Before you see them.
Leon and Claire or Claire and Sherry.
Yeah, you're right.
And I think this could have possibly been planned all along,
Right.
but that's too much.
Now,
credit.
now,
That's giving
now,
it too much
now,
credit.
with that being said, with the last scene, and we liked how it ended.
Yeah.
And obviously,
People are going to want to know our quick score.
Our quick score, I guess. Again, we kind of like to.
Yeah.
I liked the latter episodes definitely better,
Mm-hmm.
but I also wanted to say before we do that is like, do you think that this will continue as like a season 2 or another additional 8 episodes ordered, or do you think that they wrote this in a way where it could be just as is and it's done? Because a lot of people online might feel, again, let us know in the comments.
Yeah,
but,
for sure.
I would like them. I'll just go real quick. I just would like to see more episodes, maybe another season. And even if you don't continue Claire and Leon's like little story, because I know that's kind of what they wrapped around with the promotion of like them and then the other characters behind them. But do you think we need more? Or do you think this is fine where it's at because you liked it so much? And I think we're on a similar opinion.
Yeah.
Again,
I know you liked it.
Yeah, I definitely liked it. But
Yeah, even when we talked about our initial impressions, like after it ended, and we were both kind of tossing around like the couple things, like the camera angles I was saying were a little weird. Leon's voice was a little weird.
Right.
There's a couple things that were like a little bit. I could tell you really liked it.
Yeah.
And I really liked it, and Dustin really liked it.
Yeah, he did.
It was really
did.
good. I definitely want more.
Me too.
I definitely don't think they have to go right into Leon and Claire again. I think the next one should be about Chris and Jill going to Antarctica
They really can
to
do
stop
that.
Umbrella.
They have that potential.
This is the perfect way to tell the in-between stories.
Right. Without making a whole game and all
without
that
having
shit.
to figure out how a
Right.
whole game's going to work. This is the perfect way.
If you just gave
four
me
episode
4
seasons
episodes of Chris and Jill, I'd be
That's all
fucking
it is.
I could die happy.
Dude, you just do Leon, Claire, Chris, Jill, Barry, Chris, Rebecca, Jill,
right.
Leon, Jill.
We talked about the in-between between, what before
happens
Jill went out the
between 3 and
window.
4?
Right, what happens between
Nobody
3 and 4?
knows what happens between 3 and
Right.
4 because no fucking game ever explores it.
And there was nothing that happened between 4 and 5, but guess what? You just fucking made it up and it worked.
Yeah,
So
Revelations.
Well,
Revelations, yeah.
Revelations of degeneration, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you get like this story. I mean,
Exactly,
like Infinite
yeah.
Darkness did not exist a year ago or
No,
2
no,
years
no,
ago
no,
in
no,
that
yeah.
timeline that we know and love.
But that's the thing.
But you can make it work.
Everything is after 4. What about between 3 and 4? What
Yeah.
about the founding of the BSAA? We still don't have that in a cutscene.
Like, what if we saw our characters
There's so many
deal with right after Raccoon City? Like,
you mean
all
to
of
tell
that
me
shit.
Leon did Raccoon City, then Spain, then this, then 6? No, there was thousands of things.
There was
he
a lot of
did.
things that he went through,
And Chris
went through, yes,
and Jill,
all of them.
This is the perfect way to tell those stories in bite-sized pieces and wrap them up. Show the infinite darkness, like we said.
That
it's
haunts
about the
these characters.
unending
Right.
battle of bioterrorism these characters go through on a daily basis.
That's out there forever.
Fuck 7, fuck 8. Leave it in this era. And even if the future games are just going to be what they are, let us have our characters in this, at least.
Right, to where you can establish them, develop them.
Yes.
Make us feel for them. They have faces. It's more of like dealing with that identity that we know from the past and expanding on it. But like we said, it's still one common theme we say throughout this podcast. It still feels genuine.
It feels just
it
like
doesn't
Resident
feel
Evil.
like it was forced. It was, again, this was very digestible. It was
Like all the animated
very
movies.
fast in a good
Yeah.
way. Yeah, like
Other
like
than
you said,
Vendetta's over-the-top gunplay with Chris and Arius and Leon and Chris
right? That's
in
like
the
a
hallway.
meme. Oh, we didn't even talk about
Yeah.
that. Leon. I just want to say this. He uses a fucking 50 cal, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah.
He uses a
Blows
50
the
cal
arm off.
and blows the tyrant's
Dude,
arm
arm off.
off. That
That's
shit was.
crazy.
He's never used a 50 cal, but he used that shit and it ripped his arm clean off. That was fucking badass.
That was crazy.
I like that shit.
And again,
It was fun.
he wasn't trying to kill him.
No.
He was just trying to stop him.
Just to stop him, and he knew that, like, listen, like, I'm trying to get, my point across here, and then he went on about what he wanted to talk about with the fear and everything. But yeah, I like the themes here. I liked the characters overall. And, I definitely was rooting to see more Leon and Claire more than the newer characters, but I understand the time that they needed because there's always new characters.
You could almost argue the distance was on purpose.
Right.
Because of the ending.
And if there's more to them in the story, like let's say they don't do what we just said and they go back to Leon and Claire,
which is fine.
And that's why we want to say in this show.
Yeah, it's fine.
While this is we're recording this the first day it came out. If 3 months down the road, they announce 8 more episodes, just know when this was recorded, or if you're listening to this,
and the title will say season 1.
The title says season 1, so that's kind of it. But let us know in the comments though what you thought of the show and what you would maybe like to see done next with this,
which characters would you like to see next, and
go
watch it. If you don't watch it, they won't make it.
If you don't,
so go watch it twice. Put it on while you're doing the dishes and listen to it. Get it out there, tweet it, whatever you could do, get it out there. This is good shit. They need to know that this is what we want. I don't want live action Wesker and Billy and Jade Wesker and all that. I don't want that shit.
And that's all made up shit.
It's all made
literally
up
all
shit.
made up.
I don't want that. I don't need it.
In a universe that we don't have a connection to.
I have Paul W.S. Anderson for that shit. I don't need that
This
shit.
is a universe that we have a connection to, characters that we care about, and there's genuine emotion here when they're portraying these characters. Now, that's important because when you take that and you spin it to something that's completely fucking,
brand new,
and you're like, I don't have any kind of...
Paul W.S. Anderson's movies.
Right.
Where Barry's smoking a cigar and shooting people, and Chris shows up and never...
And Leon shows up in the 5th movie, and you're like, what's the point of this at this point? Like, he's not... he wasn't in Raccoon City. Like, how are you going to have a Leon that's not in Raccoon City? But anyway.
Or Chris.
That's what I'm saying. He's in a fucking jail
Wesker
cell.
wasn't in Stars.
No.
There's so many problems with those movies.
And so, but you take something like this, and this is why we're telling the fans to support it, is because it's still in our timeline. It still feels like Resident Evil, and why wouldn't you support something like that? We're going to buy it physically when it comes out.
100%.
It's going to be, again, like
I
John
will
said,
own this
stream
movie,
it, watch it. Mm-hmm. Even if you got to download it, just watch it, and just do what you got to do. It's one of those things where I understand streaming. Not everybody has Netflix and stuff like that. Most people do. But at the same time,
get your 7-day free trial and watch it.
7-day free trial.
Make a new email and watch it.
Do whatever. Share it with, if your friends have it, just watch it over their house or something like that. You could do that too. Watching it together is fun. If you can get, RE fans together that know the lore, it is fun. Like me and John and Dustin, like we were really, we made it kind of like an event to watch it, which is really cool.
Yes.
And I would say overall, we don't really do this, but it is a show, so we'll do it, just kind of a general thing. But we kind of gave our positives and negatives throughout this podcast. But I would say, for me, I would give it, a solid 8 out of 10, I would say. I wouldn't say 9 or 10, just because it wasn't like the most perfect animated film or series I've ever seen. But I would say 8 out of 10. Degeneration for me is a 9.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Like, if we're talking number scale. So
if we're going solid numbers, I'd probably give this a 9 out of 10.
Okay.
If we were going out of 100, I'd probably give this an 86%.
Right.
Something around there. I would definitely round it up to 9.
Now, it might change. Like, again, this is the first day.
This is just for season 1.
Just for season 1.
It's just for season 1.
Even if I watch this again, and it might be a 9. Like, I might watch just the 4 and the bunch, and I'll be like, you know what?
Yeah.
That's why number of ratings can be
number
adjusted.
ratings. I base my score off of how much I enjoyed it, how much I liked the plot, how much I liked characters. Other than a couple nitpicks, bro, this fucking series was great.
Yeah, and it's digestible, you know what
I mean?
It
was great.
But I guess, one of the last things is that...
If a gripe is I want more, you did it right.
Right, and that's basically what we want. We just want more. Now, if they don't, I'll be a little disappointed.
Unless it was lacking. Like RE3 remake for some people. They wanted... I don't want everybody to be like, well, if you want more because there's nothing there, then that's... If you want more because you're so happy about what you got...
Right, you genuinely enjoyed it on your first run.
Thing.
Right, and that's like, it didn't feel like a chore to watch.
No.
So I like that they, kind of put it out there. Now, whether they did it on purpose or they wanted to gauge the community to see what they liked, that's fine. I
still think 4 episodes is a little weird.
I still think 4 is a little weird.
Could have
been a movie. We still think that originally was a movie, but that also means that this could be it. It's just 4
which I hope
and
it's
done,
not.
which we hope it's not. We want to see more. Let us know in the comments, and hit that like button. Let us know, and we really want to hear your feedback because
Yes.
the community is the bloodline of what we do here, and we appreciate that.
And
this was a blast.
It was a blast
to talk about and review.
Yeah,
and
I just want to say one more time. Go watch it.
Go watch it.
Please go watch it.
I mean, you're watching this now, so you
Yes.
probably, unless you just don't care about.
I don't care if you've watched it already. Go watch it again.
Yeah.
Show them this is what we want. Because if you're watching this show
and rate it, because you can rate it on the thing,
and you can rate it, and you really like this show, whether you're a RE original stan, a 7 stan, a 5-6, 4-5-6 stan, action horror, whatever you are,
or maybe you're just into the games,
or if you're just into the games more, if you watched this and you enjoyed seeing Claire, Leon, and you're excited about potentially seeing Chris, Jill, Barry, Rebecca, Wesker, Ada, go fucking watch it and rate it.
Yeah.
Because even if it's a 4 or a 5, go rate it.
Now,
it's good. It's
yes.
enjoyable, and you have to show them that you want it. Because if you don't, they will not do it.
And it will just be,
there's so many animes that only get one season.
A movie.
Because Japan takes their ratings seriously, guys.
There's a lot of 13-episode shows for a reason.
There's a lot, yeah.
Unless you
do
can
not
tell
get the rating,
the story is like a beginning,
Exactly.
middle,
Yeah,
end
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
deal. But like you said, it happens all the time.
in anime, there's so many season 1s and
Right.
no season 2s, and you
Yeah.
find out there's 40 manga volumes.
And you're like, what the hell?
Yeah,
and
like,
it's
I didn't even
And then
know.
you look it up, and the ratings tanked. And it's
Yep.
like, and to John's point, and we went into this knowing, we didn't read it, but we knew that the reception was mixed.
Yes.
It was mixed online. It was mixed by people that reviewed it. But a lot of those journalists
Yes.
are not real fans. It's not coming from an honest place. We've always been genuine here on the channel, so we're just coming at you with our honest thoughts. And that's what we did with Village. Even though we hyped it up and we were excited, it disappointed us with something like this. We got excited about it, and it actually fulfilled. So there's peaks and valleys. There's highs and lows with franchises. Sometimes some people think, you're paid to say one thing. When you're coming here, you're getting 110% honesty. We don't give a fuck what Capcom thinks. We don't care what anyone thinks watching this video.
No.
We're just here to give you shit from the heart. We've always done that. We always will do that.
Yeah.
And
We love Capcom.
we still
love
love
their
Capcom,
products.
but we're honest.
We would love
And
for them to
so-
be positive about us, but if it sucks, it sucks. If it's good, it's good. That's how we're calling it.
And that's how we're calling it, and that's how we will always call it here on Let's Talk
Obviously, our
Resident Evil.
opinion, but
It's always our opinion.
It's always our opinion.
And again, there's always going to be stuff that we will see, and we give it the benefit of the doubt, regardless of the outside stuff. And because the reviews came out a week ago, a lot of people got review screeners and stuff like that, and that's fine. We were just really fulfilled, and I think that
it was a blind watch.
it was a blind watch. And
Which is never mind, go ahead.
yeah, but it was
Ironic.
It was really cool that we got something that just felt genuine, and it didn't really feel forced or rushed either. You could obviously tell they took their time. Animation was great. I would recommend it. I agree with John. Recommend it if you're an RE fan. Go watch it. Watch it again. Go rate it. And I know I'm rambling at this point, but just thank you guys. Thank you for waiting.
Yeah, thank you for watching.
And thank you for watching. And
Hope you enjoyed it.
hope
Let us
you
know in the
enjoyed.
comments.
Don't forget to hit that like button.
Blair
Let us know
Redfield.
in the comments down below. Obviously, download the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
thought you said Apple
Libsyn, Apple Pie.
I thought you said Apple
You
Pie.
can't say iTunes anymore. It's actually incorrect. It's all Apple. It's Apple Podcast or Apple
Podcast
Music.
app. Apple Music.
So it's like there's no iTunes. So when I say iTunes, I sound like I'm fucking 70 years old.
Yeah,
but
they got rid of iTunes.
yeah, so they merged all that shit. But
Apple
yeah,
Podcasts.
you guys know, download it for free if you don't want to watch our stupid faces. But you can also check us out on Patreon. Just at $1 a month, you can actually vote, engage on what content we show on the channel. You get to join in on podcasts like these and listen to them live.
Yes.
And it's just a really fun time. And also join our Discord and follow us on the socials as well. Until next time, thank you guys for watching. And me and John will see you guys in the next one.
Peace out.
Peace. A big shout out to everyone that supports us over on Patreon. Starting at just $1 a month, you can support us on Patreon, and $5 and up, you get exclusive content and perks as well. Thank you so much for all your love and support, and we'll catch you next time.